Srinivas Malampati. Now, Srinivas currently holds more than 18 years of experience in the IT as a consultant, a trainer, mentor, and over 17 years of experience in assisting staffing companies in mentoring their candidates in Java, Spring, web services, Hadoop, Yarn, Spark, Storm, and other ecosystem components as well. Now, talking about the Hadoop as a module, well, he holds more than 6 years of experience on Hadoop and its ecosystem products like Pig, Hive, Scoop, HBase, and is actively involved in mentoring companies in their Hadoop usage analysis and implementation. He's also trained participants from JP Morgan Chase, Microsoft Wells Fargo, Fidelity, Amdocs, SAS, Bank of America, Vodafone, to name a few. And he's also done online trainings for companies like Zarentech, Nishitech on Hadoop, Yarn, Spark and Scala, and also Storm as well. Now, Srinivas also has exposures in various phases of software development lifecycle, which includes business requirements, system analysis, documentation, designing and development, CR management, testing unit, integration testing, and also production deployment, and also relate the same in training. Now, the best part about Srinivas is he's always got a participant satisfaction of more than 90% in all his training batches. So that's a quick introduction about Srinivas himself. And I'm going to go ahead and let Srinivas take over now. Thank you so much for your time. And Srinivas, you can now take over. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Sunil. Yeah, hi. Good evening, friends. Hope I think some of you might have taken the demo on big data development in the past, and many of you are new to this. Before I go ahead discussing something related to the developer part and the admin part on the big data space, I would like to hear from your end, what is your view or your perspective towards big data? I would like to hear your true view or perspective towards big data, because this is a term that you might be hearing going through over the internet, various documents, wherever you hear the term big data. You'll also be hearing Hadoop parallelly with it. So I would like to give a quick overview on what is big data, how this big data is connected to Hadoop, what other components you have as a part of the Hadoop ecosystem, and how these components and the initial setup of your Hadoop is being done and being taken care by a specific role, that is the Hadoop admin. So before doing all these things as part of our today's demonstration, I would like to hear a few inputs from your end. What is your perspective towards big data? Please, friends, I would like to hear from your end. Sunil Reddy?
Yeah, it's basically, I mean, there's a buzzword, it's everywhere. It's basically the amount of data that you cannot process by traditional means of computing. So that's big data.
Okay. The amount of data that the traditional systems cannot process, that's what the big data is. I mean, I don't deny any of your statements, because I know that you are here to learn. I'm sure that you are here to learn. So I just want to hear from your end what is your perspective towards big data, so that I'll be able to give the true perspective of big data, both from the industry perspective and from my personal perspective. Yeah, please. I appreciate
Well, for me,
Yeah.
Hi, this is Anne-Marie. Yeah, big data, from what I understand, consists of the multitude of data out there. Individuals have footprints on so many different sites. You know, they search for stuff on Google. They buy from different websites, and all these are aggregated. And for organizations to be able to make sense of consumer behavior and make be able to make use of that information to better their business, you know, to make decisions about their business. They need to be able to process this huge data out there. That's my view.
That's really convincing. Yeah, I appreciate. See, my intention is not to, defend or criticize. It's only to get the understanding of what is your perspective. Yeah, feel free to express. Appreciate. Arun?
Yeah, Shri, big data is basically a problem, right? Problem of processing large amounts of quickly changing information or data, which is of different variety structures.
Yeah, that's really good, convincing. So let me take this as a base to take it forward. Of course, today's agenda is to see something related to, there is no second thought. This is what our today's agenda, Hadoop administration. So before we talk anything about Hadoop administration, we need to definitely talk about Hadoop. If I need to talk anything about Hadoop, I definitely need to talk about big data first. And before I talk anything about big data, I definitely need to talk something about data. Once I have the understanding of what is data, it will be easy for me to talk something about big data. Then I can establish what relationship exists between big data and Hadoop. Then it will be easy for me to talk about how this Hadoop can be set up, can be monitored, can be managed, can be enriched. Set up and definitely you understand, monitor you understand, manage you understand, enriched is something like upgrading. So today you are using some version, you want to enrich it to a different version. So all these nothing but your administration. That is what your aspect. So I need not tell you, though our goal is to talk something about or understand about Hadoop administration, but where we need to start? We definitely need to start at the data level and understand big data, understand the relationship between big data and Hadoop. Then we can think about how it can be set up, monitored, managed, enriched and all. Nothing but your Hadoop administration. Hope you have understood the logical derivation of Hadoop administration and what would be the right point to start our discussion. Though it is a regular introduction from my end on big data, but personally I feel, it is very much necessary to anyone to understand big data in its true form, in its true perspective. Then only you will be able to drive further and understand in detail about big data and what relationship exists between big data and the technical term called Hadoop, which is always used in parallel with big data. So as a part of that, let me take the privilege of giving you you look at this one closely, the slide what I'm showing you here. You have data at the very lowest level. When the data is processed, you get information. When that information is further processed, you get knowledge. Knowledge further synthesized, you get wisdom. With wisdom only we make decisions, whether right or wrong. Keep it aside. But with wisdom only we make the decisions. With wisdom only we make the decisions. If there is no data, there is no information. No information, no knowledge. Without knowledge, we cannot acquire wisdom. Without wisdom, we cannot make any decision. Without a decision, there is no future. You need to decide. So the future of the organization depends on your decisions only. And I can say the future of the organization depends on data either directly or indirectly. If there is no data, there is no information. No information, no knowledge. When there is no knowledge, we cannot acquire wisdom. Without wisdom, we cannot make any decision. This is what we popularly call it as DIKW model. Data, information, knowledge, wisdom. It is called as DIKW model. So with these two slides, I can clearly share with you data is essential, data is crucial, data is vital, data is very important. If there is no data, you will not have any of the byproducts of data. I mean, you will not have information, you will not have knowledge, you will not have wisdom, without which you cannot make any decision. So this gives you the clear understanding. Data is very important. Data is very important. So though our goal is to understand what is data, but we are identifying why data is important. See, if something is not really important, why we need to learn about it? We have identified it is very important. Now we'll start thinking about what is data. That is the reason why we are interested to see here. Data is raw, unorganized facts that needs to be processed. Data is raw, unorganized facts that need to be processed. When the same data is processed and been organized or structured or presented in a given context, we call it as information. I tried my best to give you an example here about data. Each student's test score is one piece of data. Each student's test score, maths 50 for a student called Arvind. That is what I call it to be data. Arvind, maths 50. Shekhar, science 85. That is what I call it to be data. Data may not be meaningful to us in most contexts. When the same data is processed, like the class average score for standard 5, the maths average is 72. Makes sense to the class teacher or to the school principal to make some decision about mathematics in that school or in that class. I hope you are following with me and trying to understand why we are discussing all these things, though our goal is Hadoop administration. Without understanding all these things, we will not be able to understand why Hadoop is required. When you fail to understand why Hadoop is required, there is no point learning something about its administration. That is the reason why we are trying to understand the basic essential facts to rise to the level of Hadoop and its development or administration. So it is clear with this one, data is raw, unorganized facts that needs to be processed. The same process data which is being organized or structured, presented in a given context, we call it as information. We have understood what is data now and how important it is. And we have also understood how this data is going to form as a base, directly or indirectly, to the future of the organization. I don't know whether you have recognized and realized this one or not. When companies are being evaluated, when a company is being evaluated, earlier we used to think only about the infrastructure, the human resources, the loans on the company, or the assets, and various aspects like this. One aspect is something called goodwill, and a number of years in operation. Various elements like this. Organization to organization, it differs. I cannot say exactly these are the elements in every case, but common elements and in some cases some specific elements. Apart from all these elements, to be considered to evaluate a company, there is a very important element in the current day world that is called data. Data is considered to be a very important element in evaluating any company in the today's world. Data is a very important element. Based on the amount of the data you have, your organization value depends. You take, it's only to make you to understand the only value to a company called Facebook is data only, no other. The entire value of the organization worth billions of dollars is truly based on the data only, no other. Surrounding data, we have other things, infrastructure, human resources, technology, a lot of aspects, but it's all surrounding data. So you understand, data is very, very important. That is the reason why I mentioned very clearly to you here, DIKW model, data, information, knowledge, and wisdom, of which data forms the base and all the remaining are the direct or indirect byproducts of your data. So with this, it is clear to us what is data and why it is so important. Let us talk about what is big data. It will not be easy for us to understand just adding big to the data to get the meaning of big data, because when you look at the term called big data, definite, everyone will come out with their own perspective, like how I asked in the beginning, what is your perspective towards big data? Few of you came out with your own opinion about what is big data. Like this, if everyone starts coming out with your own perspective towards big data, definitely we will be confused. Please understand this point, friends. If everyone starts coming out with their own perspective towards big data, the rest of the world will be in confusion. So not to happen this, industry has standardized the definition to the term called big data. Industry has standardized that, not me. Industry has standardized big data is anything which has three essential characteristics. Data is anything which has three essential characteristics: volume, variety, and velocity. Volume, variety, and velocity are the three essential characteristics with which we define something called big data. First one is the volume, next one is the variety, and the third one is velocity. Volume, variety, and velocity are the three essential characteristics with which we define something called big data. That's where, in short, we call these as three V's. Of course, these days, these V's are getting extended to value, veracity, viscosity. These V's are getting extended, but these are the three V's with which we define something called big data. Volume. When it comes to volume, I'm trying my best to make you to understand. Compared to the books what you have in your shelf, these are more in volume. Compared to the books what you have in your shelf, these are more in volume. This is only to make you to understand volume is not an absolute term. Volume is always a relative term. Compared to the data what you have on your laptop, the data on my laptop may be less or more. So volume is always a relative term but not an absolute term. And you may ask me one thing, Srinivas, what is the impact of this volume? The impact of the volume is day by day, the amount of data that is coming into my box, I mean into my server or into my storage, into my infrastructure is going up. The amount of data that is coming, the volume of the data that is coming into my box is going up day by day. Today I got 2 GB of data into my infrastructure. Tomorrow I may get 2.1 GB of data. Over a period of time, 3 GB of data, 4 GB of data, 8 GB of data, 10 GB of data, 16 GB of data per day. As the needs are getting increased, the amount of data that is getting stored or that is being collected in different contexts in terms of any organization is also going up. But the ability to process this data then and there itself with your existing infrastructure is coming down day by day. Is coming down day by day. One side, the amount of data coming into your infrastructure is going up. The other side, the ability to process the data, entire data, with your existing infrastructure is coming down. As a result, there arises a blind zone in between. I mean, the data that is left unprocessed. Say, for example, today I got 2.1 GB of data into my environment, but I was able to process only 1.9 GB of data with my existing infrastructure. Another 0.2 GB data is left unprocessed. Today, 0.2 GB of data is left unprocessed. The following day, another 0.25 GB. The other day, it is 0.3 GB data. Like this, day by day, if the amount of data that is being left unprocessed, it is growing steadily. That's going to make this blind zone increases day by day. So blind zone is something where you have the data that is left unprocessed. This is the area where you have the data which is unprocessed. You may ask me one thing, what is the impact of this data unprocessed? The impact is, till you process the data, you never come to know what is there inside it. You may have gold inside it or it is useless. You come to know you have useful or useless inside it only when you process it. Till then, you should feel that there is gold inside it. That's what the impact of the volume. If the volume of the data is growing day by day and the ability to process the data with your existing infrastructure is coming down day by day, there arises a blind zone. The impact of this blind zone is a lot of data left unprocessed which you never know what is inside it. So that is what the impact of your volume. So volume creates the blind zone. The more the blind zone, the more you are in vague. The more you are in vague, uncertain. If you are able to process all the data, then you can decide, oh, this is what is being processed. This is what the information. With information, you get the knowledge. With knowledge, you can acquire the wisdom. With wisdom, you can make the appropriate decisions. So data needs to be processed. So the direct impact of the volume is, if the volume of the data increases tremendously, the ability to process the data with the existing infrastructure, please use that word, understand that word, friends. The ability to process the data with the existing infrastructure may not be as expected, right? So volume is throwing a challenge to me. What is the challenge? The first challenge is where we store before we think about processing, when the volume is growing day by day, growing high, where we store the data? Because with your existing infrastructure or traditional enterprise data warehouse, that is EDW, you will not be able to store the data beyond some limit. Your enterprise data warehouses has got the storage limits. Beyond, you will not be able to store. It has got storage limits. Depending on the type of the enterprise data warehouse infrastructure that you created to your enterprise, the storage limits. With your enterprise data warehouses, you will not be able to store petabytes of data or beyond. You can only store terabytes of data. Most enterprise data warehouses only limits to gigabytes, but the recent enterprise data warehouses able to, that is where you have your databases like Teradata and all. Teradata, the terabytes of data, that is what beyond your gigabytes. So to give you the understanding on that, please have a look at this one. You understand. 8 bits gives you 1 byte. 1024 bytes is 1 KB. 1024 KB is 1 MB. Such 120 1024s you replicate. You have a GB. 1024 GB is 1 TB. Usually the hard drive on your laptop is around 1 TB. Maybe some of you may have 500 GB hard drives, but most laptops today are fitted with 1 TB hard drives. Such 1024 hard drives, such 1024 1 TB hard drives put together 1 petabyte. Such 1024 petabytes is 1 exabyte. Such 1024 exabytes is 1 zettabyte. Anybody knows what is beyond zettabyte, friends? What is beyond zettabyte? Beyond zettabyte is yottabyte. 1024 zettabytes is going to be yottabyte. The question is, when your storage need grows into gigabytes, you have a facility to store it. Crossing that one, entering into terabytes, and crossing terabytes, you have, of course, the recent solutions. But when your storage grows beyond, you take the organizations like Facebook and all, I need not tell you. This is only to make you to understand. These are not the precise statistics, friends, but this is only to make you to understand. These are very old statistics, only to make you to understand. In 1 minute of time on Facebook, 277,000 logins happens. I think you might have noticed that if you are not active on Facebook for the last 10 days or so, you get a notification to your email saying, we miss you on Facebook, we love to see you back on Facebook, something like that you'll be seeing. How come they know that you're not active on Facebook for the last 10 days? Which means every of your login is being tracked. The moment you log in, your details are being tracked somewhere. If you're not active on Facebook for the last 10 days, then you definitely get a reminder. Which means every of your login is being tracked or is being stored somewhere. If 277,000 logins happens every minute into 60 into 24, you see how many records might have been generated. How many records might have been generated? One day. After login, you're not going to sit idle. You do a lot of things. You just imagine how much amount of data is getting generated every minute on Facebook kind of platform or your YouTube kind of platform. You see YouTube, how much data is getting 30 hours of high definition video is getting uploaded every minute. 30 hours of, you may ask me anything, 1 minute, how come 30 hours of the video? You are uploading, I am uploading, someone else uploading. So every minute into YouTube, 30 hours of data is video is coming in every minute. So just imagine how much of data is getting accumulated. So the immediate question arises, where do we store this kind of or this level of a huge volume of data? Where you store that? That's what the question, right? And the next one is the variety. You see, you have different varieties of data. Alone in the image, we have JPEG, GIF, PNG, BMP. Alone in the image, we have these many varieties. You take other things, we have many other varieties. Where we store these wide varieties of data? The question arises here. Volume is something that is related to storage. Variety is also related to storage. Where we store huge volume of data, where we store wide varieties of data. Those are the questions that arises. Where we store huge volume of data, where we store wide varieties of data. And the next one is velocity. Looking at this diagram, you definitely get some understanding. You have the data coming from different sensors into my weather server, and I need to process that one and quickly give the information to my end users. Imagine a situation, then you understand what is velocity. You are watching TV, someone trying to give you the information or reading the news, you are listening to that one. Yesterday there was heavy rain in the city. Yesterday there was heavy rain in the city. Does that make any sense to us? It will not make any sense to us. It's for the reason we already experienced it, we already enjoyed it. No one needs to say that there was heavy rain in the city yesterday or heavy snowfall in the city yesterday. It makes sense to us. It makes sense to us, friends, it makes sense to us to listen to someone saying, tomorrow morning between 10 and 11, there will be heavy snowfall in these parts of city. It makes more sense. So which means the data that is coming into my box, I should be able to process so quickly so that I can emit the results to my customers or end users almost the same time as the data is coming into my box. If I have the ability to process the data at that speed, then I'll be able to share the results also to my end users at the same level. So you look at this one closely, you understand, friends, velocity is something that is related to processing, not storage. So we have two things now. One is storage and the other one is processing. How and where we store huge volume and wide varieties of data, how and where we process huge volume and wide varieties of data quickly are the two things that that poses to you. Now I think you understand, friends. Your big data, which has got three essential characteristics, throwing me two challenges. One is related to storage and the other one is related to processing. Related to storage, where we store huge volume and wide varieties of data is one challenge it is throwing me. And the other one is how you process this huge volume and wide varieties of data quickly. That is the reason why I say big data is not a technology. It is not a technology. Big data is not a platform. Big data is not a framework. Big data is not a solution. Big data basically is a problem statement. If you are able to understand this one, friends, most of the things that you come across in the big data space, you easily understand. 90% of the people who are in the current IT world, they fail to understand this grassroots element. Believe me, friends, you go and ask anyone in the industry what is big data, they start coming out with their own definitions, or at least they say volume, variety, and velocity kind of thing. But I tell you very frankly, friends, big data is a problem statement. What is big data? Big data is a problem statement. To this problem statement called big data, there is an open source solution, because big data is basically a problem now. To this problem, there is an open source solution called Hadoop, which has got HDFS and MapReduce. HDFS is for storage and MapReduce is for processing. Now I think you understand the two problem statements that are being given to us in the form of big data, that is called how and where we store huge volume of data, that is the storage problem, is well addressed with your HDFS, and your processing problem is well addressed using your MapReduce. Now I think you are able to understand, friends, clearly what is big data and what is Hadoop. Big data is a problem statement. Hadoop is a solution to that problem statement. More specifically, Hadoop is an open source solution. An open source solution. And when I use a term called Hadoop, I implicitly mean core. It doesn't mean the entire stack. When I use a term called Hadoop, I implicitly mean by core. On the top of the core, we have other components being built. Let me show you the other components that you have as part of your Hadoop ecosystem. You have data storage at the lowest level, and on the top we have data processing, and on its top we have data access, data management, and then sits your data analytics layer. All this put together, we call it as Hadoop ecosystem. Storage, processing, accessing, management, and analytics. This entire thing is what we call it to be your Hadoop ecosystem. There are components, new components coming into different layers time to time. Existing components are getting deprecated or getting enriched or getting replaced, whatever it is. But your Hadoop ecosystem components fits into one of these layers. At the very grassroots level, we have storage, and on the top we have processing, and on the top we have data access, and then you have data management and data analytics. Now this is where your starting point towards the Hadoop comes into picture. You have Hadoop. One way, the role is developer. How you process the data using MapReduce or Pig or Hive and get the meaningful insights of this one is the responsibility of the developer. And the other side of the coin, we have the administrator whose responsibility is how you set up and how you maintain, how you monitor, and how you upgrade at times when it is required. All the responsibilities of the administrator. So most of the times, friends, I say a developer is 80% developer, 20% admin. You cannot say I am a 100% developer when it comes to Hadoop. You are, that percentage may be less or more depending on the specific component. But overall, I can say it is 70-30 or 75-25 or 80-20, maybe 5-10% this way, that way. A developer definitely needs to be a part admin. And I need not tell you, friends, an admin also needs to be a basic percentage of developer. It doesn't mean you need to write the code now. You need not write the code. You need not sit and understand all the scripts and all, or the MapReduce programs or the Hive queries. You need not understand those things. But at least you need to have an understanding or idea how these components are being set up. I mean, how these components are being used by the developer. When you come to know as an admin, when you come to know how your components are going to be used by the developer, then only you will be making it more effective. Please look at this dimension, friends. 90% of the people, they are under the impression that admin is nowhere related to the development, easy to learn, we only need to learn the configurations. Yes, I too agree with you. But an admin also is 80% admin and 20% developer. Now I think you are getting the point, friends, why I discussed about initially we started our discussion with the data, then we added big to that one, we got big data, then we have understood how big data is connected to Hadoop, and from Hadoop how you got your developer and admin roles and what an admin is going to do. I'm going to show you clearly, friends, here. Give me a minute to make you to understand. As a developer, you'll be using whatever I'm trying to show you here. Just have a look at this one. You'll be using a Hue browser that is called Hadoop User Experience. Hadoop User Experience, where I have the provision to see how my pig scripts can be developed and how my pig scripts can be executed and how I can run my Hive queries. I run my Hive query and see how the produce of the Hive query. You can see here, select star from EMP. I may be saying execute. If EMP has got any data, you're able to see the data here. This is the data that is present on maybe, okay, select star from student. If student has got the data with it, probably you see the data here. A student table has got the data and this data is present on your HDFS. I told you very clearly just before, you see this Hadoop ecosystem. At the very lowest level you have storage, on the top of that storage we have processing, and on the top we have data access. Now we are trying to access that one, and you also can analyze it basically to see the student one marks. You can see student two, whatever. So this is all related to your developer. That is what Hue, Hadoop User Experience. Same like we have something called the management console for the administrator also, where I'm able to take care of how my components are being managed. You can see that one very clearly here, friends. I need not show you much. You can see what is my cluster and what components I have as part of my cluster. These are the components I have. I have HBase, HDFS, Hive, Hue. All these are the components where I stop this one or I add role instances I am going to rename this one. Same like you can see here, HDFS, you can see, and you can, let me, you can see that here very clearly. Let me take you out there. You can see the health issues related to the components that are running on your cluster. You can add, you can see all the hosts. Of course, this is a pseudo cluster where you'll be having only one. You'll not be having multiple. You'll be having only one node, one host. You'll not be having multiple hosts. You can create the cluster with all the services that are being shown here. You can bring in the new, you can add new hosts to the cluster. You can rerun the upgrade wizard. You can do the configuration to the various components. So all these being taken care by the Hadoop admin. So as a Hadoop admin, you are going to set up the cluster, and to this cluster you start adding the services. To each service you are going to add the roles, and you manage these roles. Once it is been set up, the required services have been added, over a period of time you are going to take the pain of upgrading, because time to time you have new releases. You cannot crash the existing and go for the new one. You need to upgrade the same. And time to time your storage need is going to increase, or your processing need is going to increase. You need to add new hosts. So as an admin, you are going to provide everything what the developer needs. So without understanding the developer perspective, you cannot be a good admin. That is the reason why our program, our course is being uniquely designed. So definitely it is not my intention to make you feel afraid or something like, but to be a good administrator, when you go to the workplace, in order to deliver beyond the expectation, you definitely need to have some essential skills of developer. You need to basically understand how you can open a grunt shell. You go to the environment here and you open the terminal. You should at least know how you can go to your, I can say here pig, and I go to the grunt shell, and there I start writing my pig statements. As an admin, you should know at least that. You need not know how you write the pig statements and how you make them to work. Why I'm saying this one is to make you to understand things, friends. Tomorrow, the developer starts complaining, my grunt shell is not working. My Hive terminal is not working. My Zookeeper is not responding. My other components are not giving expected behavior. You should be able to understand at least. Immediately you ask, what is the exception you are seeing? Oh, if this is exception, don't worry. Give me a few minutes. I'm going to fix that. How you can come to that stage? You can come to that stage only when you start thinking from the developer perspective. Of course, as an admin, you have your own console to monitor each and every service that is running on your cluster. You can go to the respective service. I can go to Hive and see what is the health history of a Hive and what services we have here, and how the performance is. You definitely has got all the ways. But still, the developer starts blaming that the required services are not working as expected. You should be able to understand. You should be able to ask. You should be able to project yourself, that you cannot bluntly say this is not working, that is not working. You should come out what is the exception that you are encountering. The moment they feel that you have the ability to even look at the ecosystem and its components from the developer perspective, they cannot play with you. So ultimately, we are learning either Hadoop developer or admin or some other course is to put or make our life better, a happier, a happening thing at the workplace, but not a painful thing every day at the workplace. In order to make all these things possible, you definitely need to have control on every component or every aspect that we need at the workplace. So as an admin, your responsibility is to set up the cluster, add required services to the cluster. Of course, in this cluster, what I'm showing you, we have all the services running. We have all the services being set up. We have Hive, we have Impala, we have Uzi, we have Solar, Spark, Scoop, Yarn, Zookeeper. We have all these. But every cluster need not have all these services. I think you are seeing here very clearly. We need not have all these services up and running with every cluster. Depending on the requirement, you may not be interested to work with Spark at all. You may not be interested to work with Solar. That may not be your need, your organization need. You're not going to look at that. So depending on the need, that's where we have an option called add a service, upgrade the cluster, refresh the cluster, inspect the host in the cluster. All these are the things what as an admin you are going to perform. But to come to the admin level, you first need to understand, that is where I mentioned here friends, either admin or developer. Let you be an admin or developer, but it is all related to Hadoop. So you need to have certain basics at the Hadoop level. And with those basics only, either you take the direction of developer or you take the direction of admin. So as part of our program, we are going to see every required thing to an admin in detail and how these configurations are being fine-tuned and how you can go and access these configuration files and how you make these configurations changed time to time. You can see that here user lab Hadoop. This is all not to make you to feel afraid, friends. This is all to make you to understand how we basically you have your configuration files here. You can see that here core-site.xml file. Here you have the properties that are being mentioned clearly here. What are the what is the default file system? What is the default file system you have? And what are the different compression codecs that you're, compression codecs in the sense your the way that you store the data and retrieve the data in a compressed format. What are the different compression codecs that your Hadoop ecosystem permits? And all these aspects you see here. What are the different users that are being configured? And this is the configuration file in which you make the changes at times when it is required. You can either directly open this configuration file and make the changes here, or you can use some XML editor to make the changes so that you will not be making any grammatical mistakes, which leads to the termination of the services or your services not running as expected. So how you do all these things, how you monitor, that is where I mentioned it very clearly here. How you set up, how you maintain, how you monitor, and how you upgrade at times when it is required. As an admin, how you do all these things using your console, we are going to see as part of our course. Now I think you have understood clearly, friends, why our journey in the today's discussion started with the data and moved to big data and then moved to Hadoop and then moved to the admin. I think you are able to understand clearly how this entire path went. You have any questions on what we discussed till now? Please feel free to ask me, friends, so that I'll be able to give you the understanding. Anupama, you're not able to, okay, this is a very old message, that's fine. So, hope my discussion, the last more than 45 minutes, has definitely given you some understanding on why we discussed all these things. Without you getting the understanding of big data and how that big data is connected to Hadoop and how an admin is going to play a key role in terms of the ecosystem to set up, monitor, manage, and upgrade the services as and when needed. Hope you have understood the relationship that exists between all these things, friends. You have any questions? Please feel free to ask. Anupama, Arun, Kishore, Ram. I think Ram, you joined a bit late, if I'm not wrong. Sunil, you have any questions? Please don't hesitate, friends, to bring it to my notice so that we can have a detailed discussion on them. Yeah, friends.
No questions from me, Srini.
That's good.
Srini, just one question. Arun here.
Please.
So we had an issue with this Cloud Era Manager, right? On our laptops, it was not running because of 8 GB RAM.
Yeah.
So for this training, since we'll be using a lot on Cloud Era Manager,
Yeah.
what do we do?
So it is not that it will not be running, but the response will be. I mean, it takes more time to get the response from Cloud Era Manager. So I mean, if at all, if this admin needs to be, needs to be set up on the laptop and needs to be, you need to work with every feature as part of the administration. So it is good to upgrade the RAM so that we'll be able to use the features. So otherwise, there are things that are being hosted on the public. We can do it there, but those instances will not allow you to actually experiment all the things. I mean, making the changes to the components on the ecosystem, and restart them or remove them and add it again. Those are all not possible when it is been done. So it is good that we set up on the laptop so that we'll be able to experiment with every service. Even if something goes wrong, we can rebuild again or re-get the Hadoop cluster from the bundle whatever we have downloaded. So the best way is that the setup on the local machine so that all experiments can be done around. So otherwise, I can show you. From my end, but it is always going to be virtual. If you need to really practice, I advise you to make the setup on your laptop and make it accessible. That is the best way to get the hold on the administration part. Developer, somehow we can do it because all services may not be required every time. We can control those, and at least from the terminal we'll be able to work with most of the components you have as part of the ecosystem. But in order to work with the administration, we definitely need to have. I think you might have noticed, in order to make this Cloud Era Manager to start, that itself is going to take reasonably good resources. So that's the only way we can experiment with all the components.
Hi, this is Anne Marie. Quick
Yeah.
question: what is the system configuration we need to have to be able to run comfortably?
I can say that 16 GB is preferably good. Even on an 8 GB or 10 GB you will get, but it takes lot of time to, it takes more time to actually get this Cloud Era Manager accessible to you. Otherwise it will keep on, say if I log out from here, let me show you that. Okay. So in order to get this Cloud Era Manager, in order to give the username and password here and start using this one, this itself is going to take more time. If you have limited resources, you'll be having the problem. The other way is, I can show you virtually from my end, but the thing is you will not be able to come and directly access this one and do the experiments on this cluster. You may be able to see as part of our courseware, we are going to see all the three things. As part of your Hadoop setup, we have three modes. One is standalone mode. The second one is pseudo cluster mode. And the third one is fully distributed mode. I mean, it is a full-fledged cluster. This is a cluster where you'll have nodes. In the pseudo cluster, we see everything. We see everything what a fully distributed mode has got. But only limitation is we'll be having only one node. We'll have only one node when it comes to the pseudo cluster. But everything we see, whatever we see on a fully distributed mode, we see everything. But in a fully distributed mode, we can have a number of nodes. We can have a number of nodes. Whereas in a pseudo cluster mode, we can have only one node and all the services running on it. So this is what my pseudo cluster, what I'm showing you here. We can also have a fully distributed mode where we have a data node 1, 2, 3, 4, and we have a master all running on different IPs, not on the same. All these are independent. You have a data node 1, 2, 3, 4. We have a Cloudera manager running on a separate, and we have a master running on a separate. So altogether we have 6 nodes here. 4 data nodes, 1 master, and 1 Cloudera manager being set up separately on the cluster. So this is what we call it to be fully distributed mode. I can show you all the three. What is standalone mode? Why we usually go with that? What is a pseudo cluster mode, which I can set up even on your laptop, and a fully distributed mode, which definitely needs more resources, where we need to create multiple VMs. On each VM, we need to set up a node. So for this sake, and it may not be possible with an individual, I can show you all the things, and I can make you to understand how a fully distributed mode is going to be. Everything what I demonstrate here, you can practice it with your pseudo cluster mode, what is being shown here in this one. Only thing is, when you go and see here all hosts, you'll be seeing only one host here, and all the roles are being set up on the same host. But the same 29 roles you'll be seeing on different nodes in a fully distributed mode. That's the only difference you find between a fully distributed mode and a pseudo cluster mode. So if you set up a pseudo cluster on your laptop, you will get the chance to go and see each service. You can go to each service. You can see that here. You can either delete that and add it again at the later stage. You can go to each service and see in detail what are the configuration details for that one. Say for example, you go and see this Hive. You will see what are the different configurations you can do for Hive. All these are the configuration parameters. How you can make all these things to happen. We can experiment. We can make changes to that. And if something goes wrong, not a problem. We can build your pseudo cluster quickly. Just in a matter of 15-20 minutes, you can build your pseudo cluster once again. Start running it on your local box. So I advise you to have at least 10 GB above resources on your laptop. 12 to 16 GB is fairly good to get the hands-on with your Hadoop administration. And the reason why we require that level of resources is to make all these services accessible to you. On a 8 GB laptop also, we'll be able to access these things, but it takes long time for you to go into the services and make them accessible to you. Yeah, this makes sense, Mary?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Yeah. Ram?
Hello, Srinivas, this Ram.
Yeah,
Hi, Srinivas, how are you?
Yeah, good, Ram. Good.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, last time I attended your training on the development side, but actually today I'm on one of the project. I'm maintaining the cluster. So my current role is infrastructure architect.
Okay.
I have a lot of day-to-day activities going on right now, but my major challenges at this moment, at least in next 3-4 months, it would be upgrade data movements from one node to, basically one cluster to other cluster. How can we restore if needed, and the performance tuning. These are all the major things I'm really looking at it.
Definitely, that is where Ram I say. So this program is being divided into two parts again as part of the regular aspect. That is, so we have a syllabus for this. We have a syllabus for this one, and we go one after the other, and we finish this. This is one side of the coin. The other side of the coin, people like you who are already in the industry, who comes with your own requirement. Again, that is surrounding your ecosystem only. It is not something new or something away. We take all those requirements beforehand and see to that those are all being addressed well as part of your course itself. Now, as has been mentioned by you, I don't know what is your need. I think definitely we'll be having the landscape where we have a development and the testing cluster separate from your production cluster, if I'm not wrong. Is that right?
Can you repeat the last question? Sorry, repeat again the last one.
I think where you're working now, you definitely has got development testing cluster separate from your production cluster.
That's right. Yeah, we have 3 clusters: dev, test, prod. Yes.
Right. So at times,
yes, that's right.
When you need to move the data from one cluster to the other cluster, we need to have a way. And how you can fine tune your services to run as expected. How you can add services time to time. Because all the services may not be required on your development cluster and the testing cluster, but definitely needed on your production cluster. So when you have all the 3 variances in your landscape, how you manage them and how you make, I don't know whether you used any time DistCP or not, where you will be able to copy the data from one cluster to the other cluster. That is called distributed copy.
Right. Actually, I recently tried to use this CP, but it's our cluster is transparent encryption enabled, and the policies and the Kerberos enabled. There are a lot of things, and it's much more challenging environment too at this moment.
Yeah, definitely, Ram. See, I don't say that with the infrastructure what we have, we'll be able to solve every of your need. But I can say one thing at this stage. What all needed to make your life comfortable at the workplace, I'll be able to help you out in major aspects. At least we can have the R&D on that and make sure that most of your issues been addressed. Because you know very well, I need not tell you, this is endless. This is endless, right? It is not the same what the issues that have been experienced by you at your environment may not be the same from my end, may not be the same from everyone end. These differs because the landscape is different and the issues are different, and definitely the solutions are different. So we definitely can see all those things time to time. Anything required, I can help you in one way, that is simulate the same thing on our real cluster what we have here and get the solution for that. That should not be a problem.
Right. The current cluster is Hottenmouse 2.3.4, and probably next 4 months we'll be planning on moving to 2.3.5. Okay. Sorry, 2.5.
Okay.
And that's where I was asking upgrade path.
Okay. But anything.
Hi.
Yeah. Hi, Annie. Yeah, Mary. Tell me.
Yeah. Okay. I'm getting a bit worried because I see that you have advanced people in the class. I hope it's not going to be something that we're going to go at a very fast pace, because there are people who are impatient, while there are people who do not have any experience or knowledge about the whole thing.
Yeah, I really appreciate Mary that you raised this point. That's where I clearly mentioned we will not be moving out of the groove day one. See, we always start with the basics. You let people be of any level in the class, but we always start with a humble beginning, and only when you get the hands-on with those things, we will be going to the level where we take the real issues and try to address them. So it is, I'm not trying to convince you, honestly. That is not my interest, because there are few participants here who already has taken the course from me on developer part. You can definitely take the inputs from their end. This session is being planned to cater the needs of everyone. That is what the specialty of the training program from TechieBees. So we never will neglect any participant in the session under any circumstances. Maybe the needs of few participants are very high. We definitely take the things to that level. Probably at the end of the course or at the end of this session, we'll be dealing those things which are specific to their requirement, but not neglecting the basics. And I'm sure you will not be facing any challenge, because every concept that we take, we start from scratch. Go to the extent what has been planned. If something is needed beyond that, it is always going to be optional. That either you can be a part of the discussion, because usually those kind of discussions will happen at the end of the session. So you can be a part of the discussion, or you can leave, depending on your comfort to receive that. But for sure, no participant is going to is been neglected anytime in the past, and I hope in the future also it is going to be the same.
Okay, thank you.
Because this has been planned, whatever the program that we are planning now, or even as part of the developer or administration, this has been planned keeping in the mind that all the challenges that you come across at the workplace, you should be able to address them with the confidence you gain from the program what we are executing. That is what the goal. Maybe every situation we may not be able to deal during the sessions, but most situations we will be able to predict and share it with you, so that you will not be facing the challenge at the workplace. Right? The ultimate goal is not to finish our training program, is to see you comfortable at the workplace. I mean, you clear the interview, you get into the job, you start working, and during your work, what challenges you face, even those challenges you should be able to handle it with the confidence you gain from the training program. That's what the goal. And as you said, there may be specific needs from different participants, and those are being either handled end of the course or end of the session specifically or by large, and that is always going to be optional to every participant. Either they can be part of the discussion or they can ignore it. But all the required essential basics what been promised to see you as a developer all been covered without missing anything. Yeah, Sunil.
Thank you so much for addressing that, Srinivas. Appreciate it.
Yeah, wonderful, Sunil. So, Sunil Reddy, you have any question? Kishore, Arun, you have any questions? Please feel free to ask, friends, because I believe whatever I discussed, whatever I've shown you, is all to give you the big picture. I may not be able to go precisely on one aspect and make you feel afraid of, because in order to give those aspects or in order to give those concepts, you need to have some basics. So without discussing those things, if I dive into that, it may confuse you and give you a different impression. That is the reason why we are not going deeper into the specific details. Hope you have understood this flow. Trying to understand data, then big data, then Hadoop, then admin. So when I am at a Hadoop level, I have the chance to go into two dimensions. One as a developer, one as an admin. As a developer, you have things. As an admin, you have different roles and responsibilities. How these are being fulfilled. But when you start growing eventually, you will be seeing that there is a lot of overlap. And over a period of time, you claim that you are a Hadooper. You will not be claiming you are a Hadoop developer or you are a Hadoop admin. Over a period of time, I am saying, friends. because these two gets overlap and you start claiming as Hadooper, not as a Hadoop developer or an Hadoop admin. You are a Hadooper. You know what is needed as part of the developer, you know what is needed as part of the admin. Both over a period of time, these two gets overlapped, and majority of the things you'll be able to see in both, right? So don't worry, friends. One thing I can tell you confidently here, as an admin, what all you need to do at the workplace is being handled thoroughly as part of the program, and which definitely can give you the confidence even to face any kind of interview, because we see all the three modes: standalone mode, pseudo cluster mode, and fully distributed mode. All the three we see, so that you will not be missing anything. Let it be Hortonworks, that is HDP or CDH or Big Insights, anything you take, all internally has got the same component. So don't worry, friends. If it is HDP, maybe you have 5 to 10% difference from bundle to the bundle. I mean, from Cloudera to Hortonworks to Big Insights, you may have 5 to 10% difference, not more than that. Most of the things are going to be same, because all these bundles has got internally the same components which are being provided by Apache. None of these companies, you take Hortonworks or Cloudera or IBM, any company you take, all these are using the same open source components provided by Apache. So you will not be finding difference at all. Maybe UI level or some the flavors you may feel different, but all the ingredients are going to be the same. No much difference.
Srinivas, this is Sunil.
Sunil,
I lost connectivity when Arun was asking about the Cloud Error Manager.
yeah.
So when I try to launch the Cloud Error Manager, it is giving me error saying that, I don't remember the error, but it is asking me to install Cloudera Express on desktop. Is it something which is familiar to you, or do we need to install that in order to run the
No,
Cloudera
we did
Manager?
not install that one, but first time when you are using that, very first time when you are using that one, you see something called, on the CDH itself, you'll be seeing something called, I think you see here. You know,
Okay.
Cloudera Express.
Yes.
Launch Cloudera Express. When you see that one, when you launch through this one, you'll be having all your Cloudera Manager and all its allied services been set up properly, and that's how you go there. And all the remaining times you'll be working directly with the Cloudera Manager with its login details.
Oh, okay. Got it.
That is being made available as part of the bundle itself. So try that one once, so that you will be able to understand.
Yeah,
That is
sure.
going
I'll
to
do
be
that.
done. It's part of our program. Yeah.
Okay.
So anything specific, anything you would like to ask me, friends, please feel free to ask, because
Thank you, Srinivas, for a very detailed and interesting session on the concept of big data. I have about 10 plus years of experience in IT, in the administration piece of storage, virtual infrastructure, tapeless backup, and a few other skills. So I've been thinking about switching, my, into into big, into Hadoop world. So I was not sure between admin and developer, but you did explain. So even if you choose to be an administrator, you need to know a bit of programming. So is it Python, or is it pig scripting, or what kind of scripting that you expect a Hadoop administrator to be aware of?
not much, to be honest with you, I can say, because these are not very complex. Maybe When it comes to MapReduce, you may face a challenge because it demands expertise in Java, and you need to work around Java to understand. But as I told you as part of the discussion, even as an admin, you need to be a developer to a certain extent. So all the essential things that are required to an admin, how you work with your pig scripts, because something, I mean, the situation will be like this. A developer runs the script and gets some problem, and maybe whatever the reason, I'm just joking, but still that these are possible things. And he faced some challenge, and he simply throw it at the admin saying that the service is not running properly. He just say, you never look into the issue that this is the problem from the script end, or this is a problem from because of my own wrong implementation in the code or something like. He simply blame job being submitted, it's not working fine. It's because the cluster is not being properly set up or the service is not running properly. So as an admin, if you know that yes, this is a problem related to your syntax, or this is a problem related to your pig script, this is a problem related to this one, not related to the service. Something related to the service, what kind of exception been encountered, something related to the implementation part, how it is been. So for that sake, what basics are required are being integrally covered as part of the program. Say when you come to pig, I will also discuss how you write a basic pig script and how you run that one, and if something goes wrong with the pig script, how that can be debugged, and how your pig service can be configured or fine-tuned to make your pig scripts run more efficiently, all being discussed, so that you will not be facing any challenge, right? And these are not very complex things, to be honest. This is not to convince you, but definitely complex when you talk in the perspective of MapReduce and all. Definitely is tough for you to learn. But when it comes to Pig, Hive and all, these are simple and easy to use programming languages and easy to code environments. So I don't think you'll be facing much challenge except MapReduce. Rest of all will be very easy. Even you take Flume, you take Uzi, even you take Kafka kind of thing, or you take Scoop kind of thing, pretty easy to understand. And there is a lot of overlap between admin and developer when it comes to Hadoop, because of the reason these are being tightly coupled. That is the reason why there is a great overlap between these two. So I don't think you will be facing any challenge as part of the program. So what all been essential is definitely been taken care.
Excellent. Thank you. That's very assuring. And so we're going to focus on Horton Works or Cloudera. Yeah,
we will be focusing mostly on Cloudera, but if any of you has got specific need that you need to have, because I have all the bundles with me, Hortonworks, that is HDP, IBM Big Insights, Cloudera, because more or less all these components, because inside these bundles, these are only the flavors, I say, the top flavors, but you take any of this bundle, all internally has got the same components, because these are all being given from Apache, nothing from any of the specific, and you can see that here. You have pig.apache.org. It is from Apache, not from IBM or Hortonworks or any of those people. Uzi is again from Apache. You see Zookeeper, or even you take a Scoop, or you take a Flume. All these are the components. What been shown by me, you can see here, all these are the components as part of the ecosystem. Now these components are actually being provided to you from Apache, not from any of these vendors. What these vendors they have done is, see, as these are the top level projects at Apache, these are top level projects. What I mean by top level project is, these projects has got their own life cycle. Life cycle, I mean, their own releases. Now, you take Scoop, assume. Scoop has got its own release mechanism. Scoop 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, its own release mechanism. And you take Uzi or Flume or Kafka or any of these components, these being top level projects at Apache, the problem is they have their own releases. When they have their own releases, a particular release of a Scoop may not be compatible with Hadoop specific Hadoop release. Because when I use a term called Hadoop, I mean Hadoop core, which is the core ingredient. On the top of this core only we build the other components or we set up the other components. If Hadoop core is 1.2 assume, for 1.2 Hadoop core, every release of Scoop is not compatible. Now it will be very challenging for any person to identify the compatible version of Scoop for the specific version of Hadoop core, as it is going to be challenging. What these people are doing is all this pain is taken by these people like Cloudera or Hortonworks. They are bundling it and giving it to you. That is what they are doing it. They are just doing the package, finding out the appropriate compatibility between the components and making it as a single bundle and giving it to you. That is the only thing they are doing. They haven't developed any component on their own. So you work with Hortonworks or you work with Cloudera or IBM Big Insights, as you are working essentially with the same components, you will not find any difference. The only difference you find, that is 5 to 10%, is in terms of the UI or in terms of the integration mechanism among all these components. That's the only difference you find. But rest of all is the same. If you are able to manage Cloudera bundle, think you can manage any bundle. You are able to manage HDP, you can manage anything. Maybe the initial 5 to 10% of the difference what you see, you may find it a day or two to understand that one, but rest of all is the same. Make sense? It makes sense, friends? Yeah.
Yes.
That's great. That's great. So you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Hope the purpose of the today's demonstration is been met, if I'm not wrong. You have anything specific that you would like to ask me? If not, even later, you can talk to my colleagues. I mean, Sunil or Kavya or Elias. You can talk to any one of them. You want me to reach out, you can always reach out and to get any of your specific queries clear. But coming to the opportunities perspective, I need not tell you, every organization more or less is adopting Hadoop as part of the landscape. So in order to set up that one, the first and the foremost role that is required is the admin only. Then only I think about developer, I think about the analysts and all, but I'll not be thinking about those people until and unless the environment is being set up. Of course, we have the cloud-based solutions where they take and do it, but most of the times I'll not prefer to work with the cloud-based because I want the data to be within my control and I don't want the data to go out of my network. That is the reason why I prefer to set up my own Hadoop cluster and work on it and see the advantage of it before taking it live or before hosting it on the cloud or hosting it in the data center. I do all these things only when I gain the experience. So as part of that, the first and the foremost position that needs to be filled is the administration only. Without you setting up the environment, we will not be able to do anything on the ecosystem. So definitely plenty of opportunities in the industry, and you see DICE or Indeed or Monster, any of these, there are many positions even till date been left unfilled because of the scarcity of the resources. So I don't want to drag you to the program by telling you all these things or convincing you in this way, but definitely you might have already done some homework before you take up this demo. What about the prospects towards Hadoop developer and admin? Both has got equal opportunities. Good that you can be a part of admin now, and over a period of time you can dive into development even if it really creates interest in you. Right? You don't have any questions at this stage. We have ended up at this level, friends. Thanks for attending the demo today. Hope you enjoyed it and you got at least some aspects on big data and Hadoop admin in detail. Still you have questions, never mind, reach out our people and they'll be definitely helping you to give the clarification at its best. And love to see you as part of our program, friends. Wonderful. Great day ahead.
Thank you so much, Srinivas. That was a very excellent demo. Hi, folks, this is Sunil. Well, do you guys have any more questions? Well, I'll be more than happy to answer. Anne-Marie, do you have any questions?
No, nothing for me. Thank you.
Excellent. I hope you like the demo, Anne-Marie.
Yeah, it was very interesting and yeah.
Well, I understand it was a little over the head, I guess, for you. But yeah, well, once you join the program, well, I'm sure with the kind of expertise what Srinivas carries, I'm sure he should be able to go ahead and clear all the doubts for you, though. That's something which I can assure you.
Right. Thank you.
Ram, anything from your side?
No, Sunil, I'm good. Thank you.
Excellent. Sunil, Mortha, Sunil Reddy, anything from you guys?
Not from me, Sunil.
Wonderful. Excellent. So folks, with this we come to an end of the live demo for Big Data Hadoop Administration Program by Srinivas. I shall go ahead and connect with you guys again tomorrow